In this video, we'll be hunting a box of nickels. We'll be looking for anything older than 1960, including Civil War nickels, buffaloes, or anything older, as well as looking for any foreigns, proofs, heirs or varieties, or any other interesting things we can find. One box in front right now, and I will probably add a second box onto this video if this box doesn't produce enough finds. Have checked both sides for enders, no confirmed enders, but that coin right there looks pretty old, so I'm thinking that's going to be an older one. We'll see when we get there, but let's start the hunt on the first nickel box of the video, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll number 7, we have our first couple finds from the 50s. We have a 1954 Denver and 1958 Denver. Roll 18, a couple more finds from the 50s. Still yet to get one from the 40s. It's been pretty slow so far, hoping that can change. But we have a 1951 from Philly and another 1958 Denver. Roll 20, yet again, pair of finds from the 50s. 1955 from Denver and another 1958 Denver. Roll 24, and I was right about that one ender being old. It actually turned out to be a 1939, so we're going to get a 30s before we get any 40s, which is kind of odd. It is just a 1939 Philly, not the DDR, but still, definitely great to see one from the 30s. Roll 26, finally going to get the first 40s of the box, and it is a 1940 out of Philly. Roll 33, we have a few more finds, a couple from the 40s, another 1940 out of Philly, and a 1949 out of Philly, as well as a 1959 out of Denver. Roll 35, another nickel from the 40s. This one is yet another 1940 out of Philly. Roll 40 gave us a pair of finds from the 50s. They are 1953 Denver and 1954 Denver. Roll 44, got a couple of 50s nickels. 1955 out of Denver and another 1958 Denver. Roll 47, once again, two nickels from the 50s. This time we have 1954 Denver and a 1956 out of Philly. That was all for the first box of nickels. Did get one more find in the last roll, just a 1959 out of Philly. Overall, it was a pretty slow box, not really any great finds on the board. Decent amount of finds from especially the 50s, not too many from the 40s, and we did get that one 1939 and a Canadian nickel as well, but besides that, not really anything too cool on the board. So I have another box to the right of me. We'll start hunting that one, and I'll bring you in on the first find of the second box. Already up to roll 10 of the second box. Has been pretty slow so far. Do have a Canadian ender back there from the 90s. Have pulled a Canadian in an 09 already. But I bring them in because we have our first older Jeffersons of the box, 1941 from Denver and a 1953 from Philly. Roll 12, we have a couple more nickels from the 50s. We have a 1954 minted in Philly, as well as a 1958, also out of Philly. Next roll gave us our second 40s nickel of box 2, and it is a 1940 out of San Francisco. Roll 16 is going to give us another 40s nickel. This one is a 1941, and like the last one, San Francisco. Roll 20 gave us 3 finds in one roll, all from the 50s. You have a 1951 out of Denver, 1954 also Denver, and a 1957 also from Denver. Roll 22 is going to give us a couple more finds, including the first 30s nickel of box 2. Is just a 1939 out of Philly, second one of those of the hunt, but good to see a 30s nickel. Best find of box 2 so far, as well as another 40s, 1940 at Denver. Roll 24, we have a few more finds, all of which are better. We have another 30s, it's another 1939 out of Philly, was a reverse facing ender, knew it looked old, not the DDR, but the third one from the 30s of the hunt. We got a first 1942 nickel of the hunt. It's not silver, but it is a hard to find 1942 Denver, so we'll definitely take that. And then one from the 50s, a pretty nice 1953 minted in San Francisco. Next roll, halfway point of the box, and we have a pretty cool find, and it was an ender, and I didn't notice it. It's a 1959, but I took a closer look at it. It's actually a 1959 proof nickel. It's pretty hard to tell on camera, but it used to have the proof finish for sure. Has thicker rim, kind of has raised rims on the side, and you can tell on the back it had full steps when it was struck. Has been circulated quite a bit. now has the Ring of Death from being an ender. But this is definitely a 1959 proof nickel. Pretty rough shape, not really worth too much, but still, definitely a cool find. Next roll again. This box seems to be heating up with a little bit better finds, and I'm glad to see that. I'm hoping it can continue. We just have another 40s, 1946 out of Philly. Roll 30, we have a couple more finds from the 50s. 1955 out of Denver, and the gunked up 1958 out of Denver. Just opened roll 34, and we're going to get the best find of the hunt in this roll. Spread out the roll, and in the edges, right there, we have a Buffalo nickel. I already see it has no date, so it's probably going to be an earlier one. We'll have to nick a date to see what it is. Yeah, very worn for sure. Let's see if we can see a mint mark on the back. Mark area does look pretty worn. Could be a mint mark there, I'm not too sure. I'll nick a date the front, and if I think there's a mint mark there, I'll nick a date that area as well. And I'll be back with an update of what it turns out to be. Just finished using Nicodate, and now we have a positive idea on what the Buffalo nickel is. Do have to catch it in light as Nicodate does, but you can see right there, it's a 1920. And I look closer at the back, I'm pretty sure there's no mint mark there, so I'm going to call it 1920 out of Philly. Very common year, but over 100 years old. Definitely a super cool find for the hunt, and the best find so far. Same roll as the Buffalo, also gave us a couple finds from the 50s. We have a 1951 out of Philly, and another 1958 Denver. Roll 38 gave us our rarest Jefferson nickel of the hunt. It's our first better date. It's a semi-key date. It's a 1955 out of Philly. Harder one to find. We'll definitely take it. Roll 40. We have a couple more finds to show. Do have one from 1940. It's minted in San Francisco. And we have yet another 1958 Denver. Roll 46, and I potentially just uncovered a really good find. Have pulled a couple more Canadians, including the ender we had, and also in this roll did pull a 1953 out of Philly. But I bring you in mid-roll because I just uncovered the fourth 1939 of the hunt, and this one's in really nice condition, probably an AU or so. In my experience, key dates are usually nicer, and if this has a mint mark, it's a key date nickel. Let's turn it over and see what we have. And it's not a key date, it's just a really nice 39 Philly. It does not look like the double die, but still, it's a really nice 30s nickel in the box. Both nickel boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. Ended up with 4 foreigns for the hunt, all were Canadians from the 80s and 90s. Did get one 2009 out of Philly low mintage. Did also get a proof nickel in the second box, a pretty beat up 1959. It's been a while since I found a proof nickel, and it's definitely a cool find. Older Jeffersons definitely did pretty good in terms of quality and quantity. Did get a couple of better ones, including a 1955P semi-key date, pretty nice 1953S, and 4 1939s, including a pretty nice one on top. Then Buffalo nickel, we did get one of those in the hunt, which is awesome. It's been a little bit since I've seen one. Best find for the hunt, even though we had to nicodate it. Ended up being a 1920 out of Philly, 103-year-old nickel, which is definitely super cool to see. Overall, we got a great variety of finds, especially in box 2. This is a really fun 2-box nickel hunt.